everybody. Welcome to Cheer Chat today. Woo! Happy Scorpio season, first of all. To all my fellow Scorpios out there, happy freaking birthday. Mine is coming up November 5th, which is crazy, but it's the best time of the year. I mean, it's officially fall here in Seattle. Um, I'm excited to chat with you guys and talk about all the things. Today's topic are the revamped Knicks City Dancers. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, I just realized I changed my whole situation and now I have this mirror in the background. Hopefully that's not distracting. Is that weird? I miss you too. I do. Sorry, I haven't been on the past couple weeks. I was waiting for something extra juicy to talk about, and so here we go. We got it. Um, I'm gonna try to ignore the mirror, but that's really, I think, for YouTube people. So, hello. Okay, let's get started, you guys. I have a nice big glass, and I hope you guys have been following along with everything I've been posting about, kind of sharing what's been revealed from the Nick City Dancers Instagram page. These people done had me on TikTok looking at TikTok videos. I've been all the stalker of all Nick City Dancers. And I am prepared to share with you guys just my 2 cents. You guys know how I do. I just kind of keep it real, truth behind the palms, my 2 cents. It's just my thoughts and opinions. I ain't trying to tell nobody how to think. I'm not criticizing anybody, but I'm just telling the truth as I see it. So, with that said, I think that's all the disclaimers I got. If you need a little refresh, there was a lot of speculation at first before this official launch of the new team. And, there was a whole reaction video when they eliminated the Nick City Dancers as we know it. So if you want to hear that kind of a rant, you can go over there to watch it. I think I posted that way back in June. But here we are, it's October, and opening night has happened across the NBA. It's been amazing to watch and see. New uniforms unveiled and just like the new teams. And, we have preseason, but opening night is when it's like official. And that was kind of the timing of the official announcement of the new Nick City Dancers, the revamped Nick City Dancers. I mean, the relaunch, like the remix, like we'll just call it a million different things. But here I go. Feel free to join me with comments, you guys. I will try to read them, and I'm also going to try to stick to my notes so I ain't going on and on and on and on. But you know how I do anyway. So, with that said, congratulations to the 8 amazing, beautiful women that have made the team. If you guys noticed, they did like a huge reveal. Okay, it was like they're in these flowy clothes and they're doing these dance moves, and it's just really like just really beautifully done. Alexa, Andrea, hopefully I'm not screwing your name up. Neka, hopefully I'm not screwing your name up. I think that's how she's pronounced it. I've heard in videos. Sophie, Mackenzie, Casey, Dane, and Abby. 8 amazing women who basically were hand selected to be part of this team, be a part of this change. It's all being, like I said, all over TikTok, Instagram. Um, for opening night, they had the whole red carpet situation with one of their sponsors. You could tell the Knicks are kind of up to some like, we need the hype movement, like they were promoting the fact that Bella Hadid was at the game. And so maybe they're just trying to get the pull of like celebrities coming to games and really just trying to build it up again. But they had a whole red carpet and the dancers were invited, which that never really freaking happens, I don't think. But um, great that they did a whole red carpet appearance. And now lately, every day they've been posting their audition series. I look so whitewashed from this light, but this is why I just have a little drink. It's midweek, whatever. I'm going to lose color anyway. It's fall. Okay. So we've been getting a peek at what this change means, who these answers are, the whole 9 yards. I did a poll because I did scour the internets and the interwebs for some video of their performances because I've been wanting to see them dance. Like, what is this whole like brand new, never done before, changing the game like performances? And I posted it in the story. Got it from somebody in YouTube land. Thank you. And they actually showed that, you guys, during the telecast of the game, which I thought that never happens. Not that kind of a long ass glimpse of what you guys do on game day. So the fact that they were able to get that kind of visibility to what they did for the performance was like a lot. And they announced it on TV, kind of like and some kind of introducing the brand new Nick City dancers. Their PR must be on point. I'm just going to say that. But when I did the poll of like, what do you guys think? Do you love it? No. Do you need to see more? 53% of y'all said I need to see more, which I think I'm still in that category as well. And then it was split half and half. 24% wanted to say no, they don't love it. 24% said yes, they do. So most of us want to wait and see. But based on what we know right now, I'm going to give you my little commentary, my 2 cents on what they have shared. And then I want to just engage with you guys and hear what you guys think, how you guys are just feeling, because I feel like because they've been launching this as such a, revolutionary change the game moment for pro sports and dance teams. And it's like, I really want to hear what you guys think about that. Like, is it good? Is it bad? Like, how are we feeling overall about these changes, right? So let's start with their auditions process because this video series I thought was really eye opening into what the process was like. They had posted different things just in terms of like the call or I won't say the call out, but the call out for auditions. Like I saw the flyers that people were posting, and there's a little word of mouth. Not a lot of people were speaking up about like what the audition process was like, but it was super selective because it was basically kind of like by invite only. Um, but we got a backstage pass at what the auditions process was like, and I wanted to share with you guys. It's saying paused due to poor connection. It paused. My bad. But there was an ad that was in backstage for auditions, and I just wanted to read to you guys like what this was more descriptive than the flyer that they shared, but just so you guys can get a little understanding of what they put out there into the dance community of what they were looking for. It said experience in dance and live performance in various genres of dance, right? Individualistic in style and work well within a team setting. And I think this individualistic style is pretty important because there's like a little theme here. It says, we are very interested in women with a big, pre established social media following, but also open to women without. Okay, we talked about that before, but that is something that they expressed a strong interest in. Social media presence, both personally and for the brand, will be included in the final contract. They specified that the contract will be non union. They wanted to understand if the dancers were represented by a union. Um, it said the submissions will be precasted before an in-person audition that they held in like July. Precasted, I need some industry dancers up here to kind of clarify some things, but I'm assuming that it's like you will be notified if you're behind is going to be coming back to the mid-July audition, but maybe that's not what it means. Anyways, the last thing that they asked for was for you to disclose any partners or exclusivity rights that you are currently contracted with. And this has gone down the influencer route, right? Where they're wanting to know basically how they can monetize you and what restrictions they would have around that because you've already partnered with so and so brand, right? So those are the things that they were looking for. In the video series, Fatima also spoke to like what it was that she was looking for. Um, I had some notes on some of that, but it was like she wanted somebody that she can put in the center, who's a star on their own, that stuck out in the room, and that gives her something dynamic that she can create around. She spoke a lot, I think, about like her creative process, like almost like I'm looking for my muse that I can be inspired by and I can like create something too. And she spoke of one of the dancers in the room of like, I can work with that. And like, she fits this vision of somebody that she came across in some other, it's like she was really, okay. And first of all, Fatima, like just hearing her talk and her aura and her calm and just like the way that she carries herself was just like mesmerizing. But just kind of showed like what it was that they were like looking for. And the main thing that caught my eye, I don't know if you guys saw the videos, but when this is like the beginning of the first video, and she walks into the room and she's like, so you're my agency girls. And the first thing that came to mind was just like, wow, this is really that kind of audition process, which is not our typical pro sports dance team audition process, right? Where it's open call and everybody has an opportunity to get in front of the people who are making decisions to at least put some effort to make the team, right? But these were agency girls, as she identified them, people who received the opportunity, maybe submitted, but essentially were kind of whatever the connection is with the agency, that's how they got the invite to the audition, which I think is just very, very different. And we'll pick up on some of these themes. But the other thing that really stood out from that first video was Alyssa, who's the manager for Nick City Dancers, kind of saying that this was like the marriage. They were really trying to like marry NBA pro sports dance teams and the commercial dance industry. And I think that explained a, a ton for me of like what they were going for, right? It's just official that they view the Nick City Dancers and selecting these 8 as a way to pluck from the commercial dance industry. And they were looking for, people that had that star quality and to kind of create around. And this is what we have. And I don't know how I feel about the marriage. I'll share some comments later about that. But I think that kind of gives the context of how the auditions were conducted. They went to New York and LA. And I don't know if y'all saw today's video, but Fatima kind of just made a comment like that she did not. How did she say it? I have it in here somewhere. She basically just said like she thought that the talent pool in New York was better than what she saw in LA, and that she didn't see the individuals that she was like looking for. Um, and one thing that caught my eye too was like how she surveyed the room. It was like, how many of you guys have basically, like, how many of you, like, this is the first time that you've auditioned for me before? Because she kept saying that there's so, like, a lot of new faces. And, like, so many people in the room raised their hand that this was their first time. And so it just kind of gave me the impression that I got was just like Fatima had maybe her eyes on maybe certain dancers that she had worked with in the past, or but she was looking for a certain element and quality, I guess, that she didn't find as much in LA as she did in New York. But she was just like, like basically we got what we need, and that's that. So, okay, she picked her 8, right? So here we are. I'm just checking my notes because I had some stuff. They're all over the place. Yeah, she found what she wanted, and we're agency girls. And I feel bad for people who may have been in the pro sports world who were really who submitted. I mean, I didn't read all the requirements for that backstage ad, but you had to do a reel, you had to do a video, you had to do all sorts of things to submit yourself to even be considered to be invited to the audition. And for people who went through that process, um, I don't really know how much consideration that you might have been given, but it seemed like an unfair tilt and competitive advantage, if you will, for people who were represented by an agency. So that's that. I mean, they found their people, and they kind of did this reveal, and I just want to get into the fact that they selected 8 dancers. A lot of people have written in kind of like, why 8? When you go from 20 to 25 dancers down to that small of a number, it definitely begs the question. And I think we had the whole rumor mill of like how much they were getting for a salary around 85K or something like that. For New York, that's probably still like not enough because it's so expensive, but huge, I think, in our pro sports world. Nobody's getting $80,000 salary. You're getting hourly wages that may or may not, be close to minimum wage, but it damn sure isn't something that you're able to live off of full time. So, first I was speculating that maybe it was like a budget thing, like in picking only 8. My hunch or takeaway, because I know Fatima's not listening, and I'm not trying to talk about anything about her selection process, her whole creative process. This is not a knock on anybody. I'm just making observations. But what I gathered was just from one of the comments that she said in the videos, it was like she wanted to create performances that were like more like a music video or like what she would do for a tour. And I'm sure that these tours have like way more than 8 dancers, but I think that's what she was envisioning, not like a team of 20, 25 people, but like, no, I want to center and focus on individuals that I can create around. That's what I heard with her explanation of her process. But I think when we think about the impacts to our space, when you move from 20 to 25 dancers down to 8, it does trigger a lot of kind of like, how does that work? Like, how is that going to hold for the full season? And obviously, if you're paying them a salary, then maybe they can afford to quit their job, who knows, to like handle that workload of all those NBA games and going to all those practices, rehearsals, doing all the social media, maybe those 8 people based on their salary can manage that because they're able to actually not have a second job around it. You know what I mean? Um, but when I think of like the 8 individuals that they were looking for and what was expressed, they wanted women who will captivate audiences, shape culture, represent the edge, style, and energy of New York City. And they wanted them to be the centerpiece of entertainment for the Knicks. This is also coming from the backstage ad. Um, they said a global staple of women's empowerment, talent, artistry, and innovation. Like they really have some hella high standards for these 8 people and what they would represent for not just the Knicks organization, but the city, women's empowerment, artistry. Like it's just like all of the things. And what Fatima kept saying throughout the videos was like, I want to create stars. And it's giving me like pussycat dolls. Like somebody wrote in and it was amazing. It was the best analogy ever. Like the most bad ones. I don't know if you guys know, but like the dancers that back up Pitbull, they have their own brand of the most bad ones, and they are the shit. Like maybe you don't know them all by name, but like there's about 6 of them I think that are part of that dance group. But just like they're amazing in their own right, and like they are just, I don't know, but maybe the similarity between like this small group of individuals, very much gives off this like, I want 6 individual stars, or I don't want to say Spice Girls. Is that what they're called? Shit, I'm tired and I need more drink. I'm gonna drink real quick. But basically like this small group, you know what I'm saying? Is that a team or is that like a group of individuals? And that was kind of one of the questions that I had, was just like, yes, they're going to be working together as a team and doing all of the things. But in our world, like, it seems like there's this intentional split from like having a dance team. And I want to kind of get y'all's thoughts on like why that kind of a shift. Um, so hold on. Why do y'all think there's only 8? Do you think it's money? Do you think it's because, and it made me think like, right now, the way that like teams might be managed by the directors and coaches, there might be like a starting 8 within your team right now that you just aren't even really like peeping. The 8 favorites like that are centered around formations. I'm not saying 8, I'm just picking on the number 8. But maybe it's not that far off because people have like, the favorites that are, or the faces of the organization that are kind of featured on everything. Like they're always at the front of the pyramid or the freaking formation. Like they're just kind of like, not just the captains, but just like there's like these, think of your own team and think of like, if you were going to cut your team down from 25, 40 people, if you're NFL, down to like 8 to 10 people, you'd probably be able to pick which ones would make it. And it seemed like that mindset of like, I want people who can stick out and who are stars in that capacity. Um, Once you kind of pluck those people and put them together, like how does that impact like team dynamics? You know what I'm saying? Like, and maybe it's just like an unspoken thing that already exists in our world right now that we just don't talk about. Maybe there's like starting 8 people, and then everybody else is kind of built around that as like backup. Not backup, but you know what I'm saying. You get what I'm going for. Somebody's commenting. So somebody says, hello. I honestly thought the KCD were going to go co-ed like the other teams with the posts that they were making during the off season. Yeah, that's what, I mean, there was like speculation on us. Okay. Like I thought they didn't say anything that kind of signaled that, but it was like a concern. Like, are they going to do the whole co-ed? Everybody, their mama's done a co-ed hip hop branded team, but they didn't do that, which I'm kind of grateful for, to be honest. But, um, but yeah, this shift to kind of like focusing on 8 stars and creating 8 stars is just something that I think changes the dynamic of like a team. Somebody said, okay, we're just going on and on. I also thought it was weird that the Kings have 2 dance teams too. Yeah, and I think that was like an attempt to recognize the different styles with a hip hop team that might be co ed, plus a team that's focused on different styles of dance for this. I don't want to speak for the Sacramento Kings, but yeah, I didn't know if the Knicks were going to kind of jump on what we see in the pro space of like this trend towards like a hip hop one hit wonder type of thing for dance teams. But it seems like, and we'll get into it later, like there's this intentional, like we're distancing ourselves from that. We're changing the game. We don't want to have anything to do with kind of like maybe what the prior uh, Knicks City Dancers teams represented. Like I've seen stories because I'd be doing my research, you guys. Like there was commentary from I think the owner in an article where they were like they don't want the Knicks City Dancers to look like ordinary cheerleaders, and so I think maybe there's this shift in our space, and we'll talk more about it in a second, of like not wanting to be considered a dance team. And my hunch is that we're kind of moving in this direction because there's like a lack of distinction between a college dance team kind of experience in terms of game day entertainment to pro. There used to be, but there isn't as much anymore. You're seeing the same routines. Um, it's a natural progression from cheering or dancing in college to at the pro level. And so maybe in terms of entertainment, there's like this we need to level up. And the next level, if you think about it, yes, this is the pro level for cheerleading and for dancing in terms of sports, but the pro level, if you will, that people sometimes elevate from dancing for a team is to actually dance professionally in the industry. And so maybe the Knicks mindset was like, we're going to pluck from this talent pool to bring that to the game day experience because it's viewed as, I don't know, more elite, more better somehow. But I really, I'll get into it more. I don't think it's necessarily so revolutionary and better, frankly. Not that they weren't great, but I don't think it's like groundbreaking in terms of like something that hasn't been done before in this space. I better drink because the more I get to get sharing my 2 cents. Here we go. Okay, so they picked 8, and they're on this like superstar quality status. You could tell by the way, like I'm looking, and I'm just making early observations, but you can tell that Fatima sees something in them that she's going to cultivate and make them stars. And this goes it's just all encompassing because you see them on social media trying to take on that influencer, put that influencer hat on, and it seems very, very like obvious to me that some are more comfortable with that and than others. But yeah, like their pages are now like flooded with whatever the latest goddamn TikTok dance is. And so they're going to be that person. Like getting that popularity in social media, kind of like putting out that content. And I already find it a little not, but this is me. I'm not that into social media like that. I definitely see that there's money to be made and a lot of opportunity, obviously, to grow your brand and to be that person that's just out there putting out content, blah blah blah. But that's part of their role in this, for these 8 dancers is doing it for the team as well as doing it on an individual basis. So I don't know what the big picture is. But if you watch the video, I think it was from today, or maybe it was the second video. Like during the audition process, Fatima actually had the dancers like mock do like a runway show. Like, here's the scenario. Vera Wang wants the Nick City dancers to walk in her fashion show. Show me your runway walk. Like, I need to know that you can handle it and do a walk. And so they probably have like brands that they're thinking of, partnerships, sponsorships, you name it, and a lot of social media, whatever engagement that's going to be based around making some influencer kind of money off these girls. And I hope, like hell, their contract that they negotiated with the Knicks allows that compensation to flow on top of the salary that they're getting, like to the dancers. But we'll have to see, or no, we won't see. Nobody's going to tell us what the hell's going on. But I just hope that that's the way that it's structured, so that they're able to reap the benefits of the star name that they're able to establish by being associated with the Knicks in this capacity. Let's get to the performances though. I posted what I could in my story. I know they have like they're announcing their timeout performances. I wish like hell we could see them, but I already know the copyright game. No, we can't, or we'll see it kind of pieced together with some other music, which gets on my last nerves. But um, I noticed, and people have written in just kind of like I would love to see that contract. I'm so nosy. I'm nosy too. I'm nosy as hell. You guys, when I tell you that I have scoured the internet for every freaking news article, video, blah, 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 like everything Nick City Dancers, and I can usually find some shit, but like this was really, it's just so early. But that contract is probably super interesting. And I sure as hell hope again, it's a contract. It's not like they're employees or they're getting benefits, but you're taxing your body on that level. I hope they're getting all kinds of perks in terms of self care. It looks like they're working. Okay, I'm going off of Instagram handles, but I know that the Knicks City Dancers had a trainer that they worked with, and it looks like they are working with those dancers again. So, taking care of these women, their bodies, and I'm not saying that they're being mistreated. Like that's again, 80,000, 85,000 in this space is unheard of. Um, but yes, I'm nosy too, and I wish I could see that contract, but we'll assume that it's covering them in all ways that they need to be covered. But financially, you want to reap some of those benefits if you're building this influencer personality, right? Maybe they're getting a cut or something. Who knows? Okay, performances. Opening night. You guys saw what they did. It was like this whole lights, camera, action. This whole like, okay, this was halftime. But I do have a question. Like, how do these freaking basketball players during timeouts or quarter changes how do they get shit done? Like it's dark. There's all sorts of shit going on. There's music blaring. Like, how do they actually do any sort of game planning and talking to their players when you've got so much going on, like on the court? I'm always just amazed at that. And it makes me think of days where when I cheered at Georgetown, like John Thompson would yell and scream like for us to get off the court because the players weren't paying attention. But this was like way back in the day. Anyway, the point is they had a halftime performance for opening night, and it was just like lights out. They had male backup dancers, not backup dancers, but they had male dancers who were clearly their backup dancers. They were like more like, just props that they were playing with as they performed. Um, the style and vibe was definitely. Oh, somebody said, "Is there a way to rewatch their opening performance?" Not in full. Like I'll repost the video that I grabbed from YouTube Land, but I couldn't find any video yet. So hopefully there will be some at some point, but I didn't find anything and I looked, trust. Um, but the style, I would say, in the vibe for the performances definitely gave like um, music video or like what you would see if the artist was out there with them, like a tour backup dancers kind of vibe. Um, I just have to say that again, I was looking for here's the big reveal of what we can expect and just trying to pick up on like what's the groundbreaking changing the game performance here because to me it reminded me and I keep it real you guys it just reminded me of a Brooklyn Nets game like I mean I've been to a game I had the most amazing time at the game and maybe it's not eight dancers but hell they shut the whole shit down completely. Like when they're performing on that court, it's like you can't take your eyes off them. You're looking at all of them or trying your best to look at all of them. There's not like eight stars. The whole damn team is impressive. You have the Brooklyn Nets team hype that are freaking incorporating it. You guys know I'm a Brooklyn Nets like and fan till I die. But I just all I could think of when I saw like the style of dance, the performance, the attitude, and maybe it's just a New York thing, but I definitely saw like this is being done in the pro dance space already. It's not like something that they're doing that's just so different. The part that's different is the huge focus on them. Like they had the eight little blocks that they were dancing on. It's just like again the spotlight and focus on these few dancers is phenomenal but I wasn't blown away. I'm just saying that it wasn't bad it wasn't good it was fine it just I was maybe expecting more I don't know somebody says especially Brooklyn at Tory yes I mean all of them and this is okay this is a whole little New York conversation but I just think that we do have two markets like New York, LA, that clearly are entertainment capitals in the US. And we get that. And we know that, generally speaking, you're just going to have this fire talent pool from these two areas. And you're going to be having dancers who have this commercial background as well as like this pro sports background. But I do in this, in my seat as covering like the entire pro cheer and dance industry for all NBA, NFL, semi pro, like I follow all y'all and I see the talent and I see what's able to be posted but like I see you guys all on this level of like elite professionals you know what I mean like I have my favorites and I have people like I have like I love unique aspects or attributes of teams or teams that just have their own style like I don't expect to look at when I see like maybe the Charlotte Honeybees or the Memphis Grizz girls for example And it's not even like there's some downgrade effect. It's just different vibes, different swagger, different like I love the fact that there's just variety in that way, but everybody's on the same equal footing of like you have reached this elite level. To me, you guys are all like the top eight that made the Knicks City Dancers, if that makes sense. Like you guys made these teams of 20 to 25 dancers when there were like hundreds that showed up to audition. So you guys are automatically, like mathematically speaking, like that eight. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm pointing out things of like, what's been done before or what's been done well, like it's not to I don't want us pitted against one another. Period. Like I don't. I think that's just the wrong direction that we need to go. I think when teams like reinvent themselves or revamp this or do that, like if you're your own competition, you want to level up. And the conversations I've had with directors, they are always trying to like kick it up a notch each year. The talent pool is always different each year from auditions. And so but it isn't this kind of like elitist, like I need to be the game changing, I'm doing something that ain't never been done before vibe. You know what I mean? Like we're all a community of professionals in this space. And so like that just needed to be said. But when I'm calling out like the fact that the Brooklyn Nets to me do this style and do it very well, I'm just saying that in terms of what's happening here with the Knicks City Dancers, I don't know that it's serving like this changing the game angle. Just saying. Somebody says it's nice to see the time and attention paid to the dancers, but I do agree with you. Yeah, and again, this is not all. The fact that the Knicks City Dancers went this direction. I'm not even saying that it's all bad. I'm just saying that there's just things that come to mind. I want to see the star treatment, the red carpet treatment, the the camera angles when you're performing, like the hype in the introduction. Like I want to see that for every single dance team professionally, period. Like I think that's the level of respect that you guys earn and deserve on game day. Like period. That's like full stop. So I love that they are trying to highlight in a different way like the talent and the artistry of these dancers. I think it's phenomenal. So I'm not knocking it. I'm just stating some things that do make me think about things a little differently or just, that I'm concerned about. Shit. And on that note, I'm going to drink. Okay. I'm going to share some fan reactions on Twitter because, again, I'm like, is it really creating all the buzz that everybody's like saying, or is it just us that care and are paying attention? Okay, so here we go. If you guys know Deuce and Mero, like they are like hilarious, or they used to be because they're not together anymore. But kind of comedians, had like a whole little late night show, blah blah blah. But this is just the impression. I ain't saying nothing. There weren't a lot of comments, and I'm on Twitter to try to search for this information. But he tweeted today because I think they had a home game. The new Knicks City Dancers got me missing Sin City. For those who don't know, Sin City is a strip club. Um, Somebody said, bring back the old KCD. This cannot, or can I read my own handwriting? This current troupe looks like they're auditioning for a Pussycat Dolls road tour. Um, Somebody said there's been quite an overhaul of the Knicks City Dancers performances. It's a full blown dance concert between quarters. Um, and so, a lot of people were complimenting the dances, the fact that it's a lot more diverse. So it's not like, bad reactions, I would say. I've only seen a few in terms of social media comments where they're actually saying like there's a preference for the old KCD style. But I will say that it was just interesting that from what I've seen with social media and that the vibe is a whole lot more like sexy in your face than what the prior Nick City dancers I think represented. I mean, if we're going to use those stupid terms that I used to hate, well, I still kind of hate, but when they focus on these rebrandings and they want to say like we want to be more family friendly and this, that, and the other, like I would say the old Nick City dancers seem to fit that mold of like all American goodness showgirl kind of vibes, and now they're going for this like what's the word, gritty, all these New York terms, right? But like this edgy, gritty, sexy, hella sexy. If you ask me, I'm all for the sexy. Give me some cute little outfits. Show your femininity. Like serve it all up on a platter. I'm here for it. I'm not mad at that at all. I just think it's really interesting to think about how like the fans, the season ticket holders might be absorbing this change. Like, is it something where it's so drastic? And again, it's like when I think of Brooklyn Nets and like kind of that, to me, they represent like the gritty, the it's just it's Brooklyn. You know what I mean? Like that whole vibe matches their brand, this, that, and the third. But I feel like the Knicks are probably as an organization a little jealous of what's going on in Brooklyn versus at Madison Square Gardens. And it's not just because of like the dancers and the entertainment, but like you had like all of these performers coming through to the Nets games, performing at halftime with the dancers, like the Nets and the Brooklyn Nets. Like it was just a freaking party. Like that's a party. I think they're trying to emulate that, like they have a Wu Tang Clan kind of branded jersey that's coming out. Like they're definitely going for the street cred route. I will just say the Knicks as like a marketing move. I'm just putting two and two and three and four and five and six together. Like I think they're trying to maybe this is what Knicks were back in the day. I don't know, but I'm not saying. I'm just saying like as a whole, the organization seems to be going for a more something different, okay? And maybe that's trickling down to what kind of like entertainment they put on the court. But where am I? The damn performances. Okay, so we got the sexy vibes. We got the celebrities of the game. I'm calling out like Bella Hadid and like, just trying to get more. I don't know who they're really going after in terms of a crowd. Maybe they want to get their crowd to be a little bit younger. Pausing for bad connection. Maybe they want to have like a younger, more, I don't know, appeal to a certain type of crowd. They're trying. I'll just say that. Um, but I just thought like the costume changes, the attire. I think it's interesting that the girls aren't necessarily wearing like Knicks colored costumes. Like, it doesn't seem like they have shit to do with the Knicks, to be honest. It's like they're out there performing in these cute little outfits. Today's post seem a little different. You're seeing the blue from the team colors, but you're not seeing heavy branding, and it's a different look. Let's talk about like the broader implications. Y'all ready? These are just my like parting thought. Okay, it's already 45 minutes. If you guys have anything you want to say, join me. I'm almost done, I promise. Here are the broader implications that I want y'all to chew on, okay? I know we all get our little panties in a bunch and we're like, oh my God, is this going to happen everywhere? And is this going to change this, change that? I'm not that hyped. I think, like, like I said, there's just a couple markets that come to mind, like New York, LA, maybe even Atlanta too, where you do have like a lot of dancers that are on these teams that actually are represented by agencies where, in the entertainment field, like they do castings in those markets because they're looking for a certain type of dancer. And so do I think this is going to be something that just like completely carries over throughout the NBA or NFL to have this type of marriage, if you will? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. Do I think other teams are going to go down to 8 dancers and pull this whole like magnified emphasis on having individual stars? I don't think so either. I don't, because I just think from what I can tell, you know, other teams, when you're part of these dance teams, and maybe this is again the difference between a group of individual stars and an actual dance team in the pro sports space, but you're it's beyond performing. You're actually are part of the organization in terms of representing them at events, and you are an ambassador, and you do community events, and it's just so much more. You're out there engaging with fans, and like I have a hard time imagining these superstar 8 women, sitting down and signing autographs and taking pictures with fans. I just don't see it based on what I've seen, that they are probably hired to do that whole fan engagement piece. I feel like it's like hired talent to come in and entertain your fan base, but not so much engage with them. I'm not picking that vibe up. I could be wrong, but I'm not. I don't see it. So I don't think like this move is something that probably will be replicated. Personally, I want to talk about the marriage of commercial industry dancers and pro sports dance teams. I want to understand from you guys, like, do you see that there's a better way to make this marriage work? Do you think there needs to be a marriage at all? Like, to me, there's levels to it, right? And I just think the blending becomes problematic. Like, there's always been dancers who are on these pro sports teams who have been represented by agencies that do gigs like industry gigs and do that work. I think it's fine to have two separate worlds that kind of collide and merge in that way, where you might see somebody who's on a dance team performing at an award show or like in a music video. I think that's dope. I mean, if they're doing auditions on the side and they're have that support from their director where they can take on that work and not jeopardize their placement on a team, amazing. I think that's great. Do I think there needs to be this type of marriage in this way where instead of the typical way that we don't cast, we have open call auditions in the pro sports world. We have what I would call, to some extent, equal opportunity to impress the judges, to show how well rounded you are, to do interviews, to show that you can engage with fans. Like, there's other aspects of our audition process that I think should be maintained. And when I think of like this marriage and it being like mutually beneficial, I don't see pro sports dancers like getting a cut in the line for an industry job just because they dance for a team. Whereas in this instance, you had basically people who were industry dancers who had an agency basically help them get an invite. Ooh, someone said, is commercial dance a style or a definition of a job? I would say definition of a job. Like, in terms of like the way that they sourced the talent for this audition, it was more like commercial. Whoa, should I have any more? Probably not. Like a commercial dancer versus like whatever however we would describe like the pool of dancers for a pro sports audition. It's not so much like there you have worked in the industry. But that's a good point. Is commercial dance a style? What do you guys think? Because I do think I've heard different things, and it'll be interesting to get y'all's thoughts too. Like, where people who have a pro sports dance team background, when they show up for industry auditions or gigs, that there's like this, you have like a style that doesn't map to like what you see in the room. Like, yes, it's clean and technical and all these things, but it's lacking something presentation wise from what you see for like people who do this as part of their job. Um, I think that's where the difference is. There can be commercial dancers on dance teams. Yeah. I mean, and I think that I'm fine with that marriage. I think it's just probably the audition process where they only selected commercial dancers for this pro sport. Well, I don't want to say only. The way that they went about the auditions, it seemed like they gave a little bit of an advantage to people who were commercial dancers to make this pro sports team, whereas otherwise it would have been a true open call audition where everybody would have an opportunity to present themselves. And I'm not looking at like participation trophies, like everybody's good enough to make a team and everybody deserves a chance. Like, there's clearly a caliber of talent that they're looking for, and now that you can submit videos and all these things, like maybe there are certain aspects of it, commercial audition process, that should carry over to like our pro sports world. But I just kind of like the invite only represented through an agency vibe, like that part to me doesn't feel like a fair aspect of this marriage. Yes, commercial dancers can be on dance teams, but because uh it's not reciprocal. Like, I don't see like people who have been on dance teams getting like an automatic in to audition for an industry gig. So like, why kind of flip the script on our space like that? You know what I mean? When it's not even, it just doesn't seem fair. And it just begs the question, like, should people on dance teams now, if you are looking at having a career after you are on a team, like, do y'all need to hurry up and go freaking find yourselves an agency to get representation by? So like you can, I mean, obviously that's the way to help get work in the industry, but I mean, I don't think this trend is, like I said, going to necessarily carry over, but is it something you should be thinking about? Probably. I mean, because I'm just going to say probably and leave it at that. Maybe it's just something that you need to be thinking about, because it's clearly an advantage. That's all I'm going to say. And if you are looking for a career in that space, it's just something that you should be thinking about, period. One of the other like implications for this space based on this move, ooh, yes, give me some commentary, y'all. Okay, let's see. The pro dance team world is just a wide spectrum, and there's a style place for everyone, depending on how you want to train and what your goals are. Completely agree. And not everybody's looking at some for some people this is the top of the food chain, the big kahuna. I have danced professionally on the pro sports team, the end. They're not looking at a career commercially. They're not That's not their path and that's not what they're going for. And so I don't mean to speak for everybody like this is just kind of the natural progression that everybody should be striving toward. I think, especially when I think of Kayla's episode called Moves, where she kind of talked about the transition from dancing on a pro team with the Atlanta Hawks and then moving to an industry career where she's like on award shows left and right. She's dancing for John Legend right now in Vegas in his residency, like she's doing her thing. And she was just trying to explain kind of like that transition and what habits she had to break from being on a dance team to kind of make herself more competitive in auditions for the industry jobs. Like it's a great episode for people who are interested in that path, but it's not to say that everybody necessarily has to follow in that path. But if you are interested, I do think having agency representation is just something that you should be have on your radar screen. Maybe you already do, but okay, we have a YouTube comment. Let's see. KCD looks great so far. Very modern concept, like a girl group. It'll be it'll be interesting how they cycle to 8 dancers over the course of a 6-month calendar plus the press commitments. I agree. I mean, and I never got the vibe, at least from social media, that the Knicks City dancers were hella up in the community, going to schools, doing the. I didn't get that vibe from them, not their social media at least. It's so different from like NFL, right? Or, or other teams where that's just part of what they do as well. So how they do that and manage that with 8 people, I don't know. But if you are getting paid a 80K salary, maybe you can manage some of those commitments because you don't have a job to report to for the rest of the time outside of when you're practicing and performing. So it'll be interesting to see how they hold up with that. We have another comment. I think all good talent should be looking for representation. Ooh, dance team dancers are extremely prepared for any industry job. Thanks for that comment. I hope you guys really, really do take into consideration like again, I'm not in the industry, I'm not dancing anymore, all of the things. So I'm only just thinking of from your perspective how I would feel or what I'd be thinking about and all of those things. But I guess the main takeaway for me is like you guys are really, really talented and at that level. And I love this comment. Like all good talent should be looking for representation. That could be like a freaking commercial. I mean, this is ways that you can contribute to your income and your livelihood and elongate your career. So why wouldn't you? You already are at like again the top of the food chain in my book, and so you should be thinking about it. So stamp on that. Let me just get to the rest of my little. I love the interaction. It's amazing. Thank you so much. It just makes it more fun. I have a couple other things. Let's get to compensation. One of the broader implications that I hope is taken into consideration for other teams professionally, like that are in like either the NBA or other leagues, is like let's pay attention to the investment. If anything, it'd be great for you to say like, look at what they're doing for these Knicks City dancers. What are you going to do for my dancers? I don't know how those conversations actually go, but the compensation piece, I would say, is huge. I hope that, and I think it's just a for this role for the Knicks City dancers, if they were really targeting industry dancers and wanting this type of level of time commitment from them, they had to come correct with the pay. Like if they can actually get a job, and I don't know what industry jobs pay, but say it's more than what we get in the pro sports world, the fact that they had to kind of level up compensation to justify them turning down an opportunity to go tour with John Legend or do whatever the hell else, I think that's a wonderful implication for what that can mean around compensation in our world, right? Because everybody should be getting a goddamn salary, if you ask me. You guys bust your ass, and it's not just 8 people that are busting their ass. It's like the whole team of 20, 25 people. So I do hope the broader implication of all this is like paying attention to the compensation piece and that from what you're asking of these dancers, that yes, a salary is more commensurate with what you're being required to do. Okay. That's an implication that I think is a very, very positive from this potentially. And again, just the investment by the team and like from the marketing, the PR, like the incorporation into game day in a meaningful way, in a showstopper, all eyes on these people kind of a way. I mean, and I know there's different dynamics for each team, right? Sometimes the team owns the actual arena and they don't really care that people are in their seats watching these dancers because they want them to go buy something because they own the arena. And so like they're thinking about like all of the concessions and things that they also need to help contribute to their to their bottom line. So I know there's different dynamics, but I do think there's something to be said for watching a team not only invest in talent like Fatima Robinson, cha-ching, but also just like everything that you're seeing around social media, like the content, the PR, the game operations, like the way that they set up their whole like halftime performance. Like you're talking about people building sets and costume design. Like there's a whole ecosystem around having this type of entertainment, and the fact that they want to clearly establish a budget for it. Hopefully, that is a ripple effect. Um, I want to talk a little bit about just like, you know, the individual celebrity aspect of it and just kind of like cultivating stars and just team dynamics, because I just think the broader implication that I'm thinking about is, you know, you have eight, so you're going to be elevating all eight, right? But when I think about teams, all other teams in this arena, I do hope that, you know, there's just some level of consciousness around like cherry picking who your stars are. Hopefully, as a director in your auditions process, you have picked 25 to 40 based on your league or whatever stars, so that there isn't going to be this. Because I really do think by default, there is already some little favoritism and like who your go to people are, who you center your eyes around when you're thinking of performances and star quality. And I mean, it just made me really feel like it's just something to think about as to how you holistically value your team. Or do you kind of just have like those chosen few that you're elevating? And just think of like if there was a way to spread that love equally around and giving the opportunity for people to actually develop themselves, to market themselves. Like it looks like they got a person following these people around and giving them their own personalized footage from their performances. Like, and these are just things of like that I think about in terms of the way that directors maybe manage their teams. Like, are you helping to support them in the way that their careers will need to progress? Like once they're done, can you find that damn footage reel that shows your what's shown on the big screen, and can you give everybody access to that footage so they can make their reels, right? For their agency representation potentially or whatever, so that they can get some, so they can build their brand. Like at the end of the day, that's what it's really about. Like just having that exposure and the social media and all of the things, and not having restrictions in how they're able to build their own brand, because this shit is actually really relevant. Okay. And maybe it might impact them making the team. I hope that teams don't move in the direction of do you have a social media following and all of those things. But when it comes to like having a body of work that you can actually use to showcase how great of a talent you are, I hope that teams are thinking about that. Like you should be cultivating the star power of everybody on your team to a certain extent, because they can't really just do it all by themselves. I mean, they can, but it's just like maybe that partnership of like what your end goals are after being on a pro sports team. I would love to see people thinking about that. Um, the last thing I'm gonna is this literally the last thing? I mean, I always go back to this when like where I'm like, am I just like a stick in mud? Where I'm like, don't change anything. There was nothing wrong with what we did before. Why do you have to change it? Um, but it's just kind of like, did we need this marriage in the first place? What is it about the way that we entertain for game day that isn't good enough, that constantly needs to be reinvented, rearranged, remixed in some form or fashion? And where is this actually coming from? And what do these organizations actually truly expect from the dancers in terms of like entertaining? And I guess where I'm gonna end this little commentary is just that like I just think there's just levels to things, and there's an appreciation for just being who you are in the space that you're in. Like if you wanted to have like a dance video, um, tour vibe, game day experience, like to me it's just like you shouldn't, like that's like going to a Japanese restaurant and being like, I wish they had Italian. Like you're at a Japanese restaurant, you know what I mean? Or like maybe there's some fusion that you can kind of mix together, but at the end of the day, like some of these expectations to me are getting a little like a little extra. I'm just going to say that, a little extra. I'm just kind of losing, like I feel like our space has been under attack in so many different ways that we just have this constant we're open for business for recreation and reinvention. And I just don't think that that's always warranted. Like there was nothing. Yes, some shit can get old, and again, different choreographers, different vibes, different, pick up a little something new. But the pro, I've been doing this, you guys. I mean, I danced for 5 years. I've only been doing this podcast for 4 years, and the amount of change that I've seen in 4 years in this space that used to exist for like 30, 40 years of different programs with no problems whatsoever has just been under, I would just say, a lot of scrutiny and a lot of, um, I don't want to say attack, but just a lot of questioning and a lot of um, remixing. And I just don't always understand like why and what we're going for. And I just think that in terms of a marriage of commercial industry dancers and pro, if it's gonna like pro sports, if it's gonna happen, um, then just having, because the if you guys let me know what you think. This is my only beef and why I went live for a goddamn hour. When I was watching the videos, I was having the takeaway and the vibe that essentially the way that Fatima's selection process and audition process worked was something that said like, what the talent pool that you would do for your normal audition is not good enough to get me the talent that I'm looking for to create this revolutionary revamped vision of a pro dance team. And that kind of just bothers me because I don't know that I agree with that approach. I don't. And there's just something to be said for the way that we do things. I think, again, depending on what the end goal is, I think our audition process is looking for and asking for a lot from dancers in this space. You have to, it's like the freaking Miss America pageant, plus you got to be able to have a talent and perform, plus not just you can dance, but like at this level, dance and perform and captivate audiences of like, I mean, it's like a tour in the sense that it's like a freaking football stadium or a basketball arena. It's not like you're dancing in front of like a recital for a community center or some shit like that. Like again, you guys to me are already at that elite level, so maybe she didn't come into the process until finals. But if it was like conducted in a way that's similar to our audition process, and then she was picking not from like this agency cherry picked status, but picking from the way that we would normally run an audition, I probably would feel like whatever, it is what it is, and they're only picking eight. But it's just this kind of elitism that I'm picking up on that I'm not exactly feeling. And that's just what I'm going to end on. It's just like this, oh, dance team dancers are prepared for anything. I agree. Like, I agree. And I think it's just almost insulting to kind of like rule that out in terms of like the selection process that um, the people who compete to try to make these teams aren't worthy of consideration. And that's the takeaway that I had. And again, it's this kind of like, again, this, when you're thinking of, I want to like, think of like the wording that they said when they kind of were like, we have always set the tone of what in like pro sports dance teams, like we've always done that. And I hear a lot of ego in all of that, and I don't really know like why that's necessary, to kind of like set yourself apart in that kind of a way from what everybody else is doing. Like, yes, be unique, be different, but we're part of a community at the end of the day. Um, whether it's NFL, whether it's semi-pro, whether it's, whatever it is, like we're all part of a pro sports related or semi-pro sports related dance community. And I don't think any particular organization needs to like kind of set themselves up to be this kind of like, we are the originators and we are changing the entire game. And like it's like, what does that even really mean? And to declare that like this is now the new world order, or like we're changing the game, maybe they meant for themselves and not the entire industry. But I think what I'm kind of picking up on a little bit is just this kind of claim to the throne vibe that I'm just not as moved by. And I hope that the elevation of these amazing, beautiful eight dancers doesn't turn into like you're on some whole new orbit in the stratosphere, because we're all dancers in this space supposedly to kind of like engage with fans. I mean, I and entertain them. I thought that that was like our purpose. And I think the more that we kind of try to set ourselves out as like this above and beyond, it's alienating. And as much as I want to continue to follow what they do, um, I mean, I'm not like I'm going to be stalking them like I was preparing for today, but it's just a little bit of a turnoff factor because it's like, who are you stunting for so hard? Like, who is your audience that you're trying to impress and pull in? Because from what I can tell, it's a very like it doesn't give that vibe. Do you guys get that vibe, or am I crazy? Um, Somebody said, why not rebrand the prior team then? Yeah. And maybe that's where that elitist shit is coming from. It's like, instead of taking this approach of we're going to highlight everybody and do all of these things, why couldn't it have been with like the broader team? I think that's just a bigger question. Did it need to be only 8? But I just feel like it's not, something's not sitting well with me. I don't know why completely. This is just my impression I'm sharing with you guys. It's so early, obviously. I wish the entire organization and these amazing women the best experience. You're working with Fatima fucking Robinson. Like, it's going to be phenomenal. And I'm not taking anything away from them. It's just, I think the marketing of this whole shift and rebrand and the way that it was kind of accomplished with the auditions process, and what we're seeing so far, like I said, it just begs some conversation. And I truly love that you guys piped in and gave your 2 cents. I'm just going to double check my notes and make sure I didn't forget anything. But basically, that's what I got to say. I'm looking now, but and then I'll look at what you guys say and then I'll end. Mhm. I think I covered everything. Um, yes, I did. Oh, I did a decent job. Thank you guys for dealing with me. Like, again, my brain, the way it works, I'm observant, I research, and then things eat at me, and then I kind of write them down, and then I'm kind of like processing. I'm such a processor. So I just appreciate you guys hearing me out. These are just my thoughts. Again, I'm not telling anybody how to think. Y'all can love it and think it's, I don't hate it either. Like, I don't know enough yet to know if I like it or not, but I know that there's something that's eating at me when I think of the bigger picture. And that's all I was trying to share tonight. Food for thought. Somebody said, would love to know how the former Casey dancers felt or are feeling about what went down. That makes two of us. I've only seen one post and I'm not trying to put any, because I know the dynamics. You want to work again. Maybe you want to be one of those 8 dancers one day. You're not going to do anything to shoot yourself in the foot. I did see one dancer post and I commented on the post, and it was very diplomatically written, but just kind of expressing a little bit of disappointment. I think with the way that the dream ended for them. Like, they already made their dream team. you know it's such an iconic brand and achievement, and so I think the little bit that was shared in that post was just kind of like express some disappointment, but very tastefully done. They should not be blackballed for it by any means, but I think it's been a very tight-lipped situation in terms of like how they're feeling. Um, Even when I was listening to Alyssa during the audition video, she spoke to like the fact that they one of the main differences that is that they changed the squad from 20 to 25 dancers to 8. I was like searching her face, kind of like, are you gonna say something about that? Like, how did that feel as the manager of the dance team, coaching these women? How did it feel to cut your team to 8? Any director that's listening, like, how would you feel about having to reduce your program in half, essentially, or more than half in terms of cuts? And I can't just, I'm not buying all the freaking, we all know the politically correct. I'm speaking on behalf of the organization, so my butt cheeks are clenched, and I'm not going to say anything I shouldn't be saying interviews. And I don't know, I'm not saying I know what was in this woman's mind, but this ain't no truth behind the palms moment. And I'm not even putting myself out there anymore, you guys, to be like, do you want to do an interview and share? No, because people aren't going to talk. People aren't going to share. You're going to get this canned version. I'm done with that. But one would have to think that people have some reaction to this type of shift and being done in this way. I can't imagine. And I think there's a dancer in this eight that was on the prior year's team. But I can't imagine that the rest of the 20 dancers or so that were on the team who maybe didn't get that invite to audition again for this team, like that has to be crushing. Like, I mean, that's just keeping it 100% real. That can't feel good to be a part of your dream team, to have reached that level is huge, and then you can submit but not necessarily be invited to even audition to be part of the new team. Nobody knew that it was going to be 8 people probably till a certain portion during the audition process, but you can't feel that damn great. And I wonder too, um, again, are they going to like speak out and put themselves in a position where they could potentially not be looked upon favorably? Probably not. And I'm not trying to speak for anybody. These are just my thoughts and opinions, but it can't feel great. And these decisions are never probably brought up by the current leadership of the actual team. I'm sure this came from the top down. And from what I heard, like I said, that owner has been all up in the business of the dancers for hella. And for that shift to happen, I'm assuming it's coming from the top. And who know, y'all know my okay. See, and here I am with my wine. I know I can be a little conspiracy theorist on the side. Usually, when there's a shift like this, it's because there's some freaking scandal behind it. I'm gonna stand by it. It's not gonna come to light more than likely. But I think this shift. Okay, I'm gonna say it. I guess. Hey, girl. Oh my God, I've been waiting for your thoughts on KCD all week. Here you go. No, I'm just kidding. This is towards the end, and I know I've kept y'all for too long. Can you catch sorry, I guess I have my hair out. Did you catch the behind the scenes videos when Patina says, "So y'all are my agency girls"? Yes, girl. I talked about that. Makes me wonder if they exclusively pick girls from the talent agency. Oh yes. Listen to the whole damn live, girl. I definitely touched on that. I noticed that. That was like the first line in that video that was very eye opening. I should hold my conspiracy theories. All I'm going to say is that over the past 4 years that I have been covering this space, whenever there has been a major shift in a very well established, well respected program of women, usually that has been the result of some shadiness, disrespectful conduct, some inappropriate shit that must have happened behind the scenes. And then these decisions come down from up high that essentially, in some form or fashion, punish the dancers. That's just the way it's happened. I'm saying, historically speaking, there's a trend here. I don't know anything about the Knicks organization. I'm not even trying to necessarily put it out there like that, but I'm just saying that's what I have seen repeatedly. And to like cut the team and kind of like elevate only some of them, it gives me like some like weird like it's masked as amazing and great, but also it could be viewed as a punishment at the same time. I don't know. That's not even the rose talking. That's what I think is like picking at me. I don't have any proof or anything. It's Makiba Pate's conspiracy theory, but I just have seen this too many times before, and something doesn't feel right. And I think everybody who's involved is going along with it. It's an incredible opportunity. Again, you're working with Fatima freaking Robinson, and she really does seem fully committed to her vision and cultivating these dancers. Seeing her calling them and congratulating them was really endearing. So I'm not knocking certain aspects of where this is going. I think it'll be an interesting season. I'd love to see more. Every 53 or however many percent of y'all said you want to see more too. So that's where I'm going to leave it. Watch the rest of the video. I would love your thoughts. You guys always end up flooding the DMs after I go live, but I want to hear from you. I mean, and it stays between us. I just wanted to try to share my thoughts and wish the dancers a wonderful season. I would love to see more performance footage from y'all and a continued investment in marketing the shit out of you guys. I guess I'll be looking at TikTok a little bit, but hopefully you'll view yourselves as part of this broader community and instead of like in a league of your own, because I think we're all in it together. And hopefully some of these broader implications that are very positive touch our space in a way that influences change that pays you guys better and gives you more visibility with your organization. Anything else for the good of the goddamn gander, y'all? I know I've been talking, but I missed you, and when there's something else hella juicy to talk about, I will pop on. But until then, y'all take care, and I'll give a second while I finish my rosé in case you have anything to say. But otherwise, I will see you next time. I really wish I could watch you guys perform more. I'm just going to say that again. Congratulations to all the teams that have been busting out. I've been seeing routines or snippets of routines, both in NFL, NBA, even like the freaking rosebuds. Like, you guys are killing it. I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing so far, even if it's not to the music. The next cheer chat, I'll definitely kind of call out things that have caught my eye. But keep doing what you're doing. I'm paying attention. I'm watching. I appreciate you. And I thank you guys for joining me. Night, night. Have a good rest of your week.